In the gym and in the car, with our advice you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes, and talk about our sexy dates. We host events and go to clubs, but most of all we're still in love. It's getting hard for this to rhyme, just as well 'cause it's bed hopping time.
Hello and welcome to episode 165 of the Bed Hoppers podcast. My name's Mr. H.
I'm Mrs. H.
Thank you for joining us today. Mrs. H is suffering through a headache.
I am. What gave it away? My constant moaning.
Well, I think it's the fact that you just dropped your phone and then spent a good 5 minutes trying to pick it up without...
Some old...
You're old. Oh, we're back on this again.
No, I never left it.
Surely, despite the headache, you must be in a good mood today.
Oh, maybe.
Why are you in a good mood today?
I got a tattoo.
Did you? What is the tattoo of?
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Yeah. Not the entire labyrinth. That I don't have enough skin on me for that.
All of the scenes of the labyrinth.
I just got the creepy hands.
The creepy hands, the helping hands.
We're helping hands.
You got the fire demons?
No.
No? You got the worm?
No.
Okay. Is there anything left of Labyrinth?
That's...
Oh, I know what you got. You got like a big effigy of baby Toby
Oh my God.
in his striped pajamas.
Well, Mr. H, I'll tell you for why.
Tell me.
I didn't get the worm because although he is indeed an integral part of a labyrinth world, because, you know, it's down to the worm that she didn't immediately go to the castle at the centre of a labyrinth because of his directions.
Mm-hmm.
However, he's a bit comedic and I don't really want him on there.
What about Hoggle? Did you get Hoggle?
No.
What about Smell Bad Sarah?
No, I'll tell you who I got on there. I've got the glorious Jareth.
All right.
Because obviously
and your
he's
baby
like
brother
the
will
best.
be mine forever.
So I've got Jareth's face. And I've got the steps at the end, like an Escher type, you know, the crazy steps. The steps. I've got the crystal ball, very important. I got the owl.
What a hoot.
You're waiting for that. And a clock.
Oh.
Because she has but 13 hours to solve a labyrinth.
Okay.
So the clock is very
And I think
important.
I saw a clock in the film at one point.
The clock appears a lot in the film.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Again, integral plot points there.
Okay.
So, it's just like a bunch of my favourite aspects of the film together, and there'll be like some crazy galaxy kind of background, and it's all amazing.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be a couple of sittings, right?
Yeah, I've had sitting one today, and we've got all the outline done and a little bit of the background, but then the next one will be all the colour.
Excellent. So you are happy, but with a headache.
Yeah.
Which I know what that means for me later. I know what my duty will be. It will be to attempt to sex away the headache.
Oh my God. That's not why we have sex.
It is but one of the many reasons.
I mean, that's like turning things upside down a bit because, you know, normally the old sort of, patriarchal thing of a woman saying, oh, I've got a headache tonight, I can't possibly have sex.
I think it's because at the moment at which you come, the headache goes away for like 3 milliseconds. And that relief is bliss.
Oh.
And that's what you want.
That's not why we have sex.
Okay. All right. Fine. Well, anyway, thank you very much for joining us today. We've got a few things to talk about. Well, actually, we've got a main topic to talk about. But first, before we go into that, we've got the Winter Wonderland event coming up, right?
Also, before that,
Okay.
I don't know if this is going to be amazing for you, but I have actually got a new joke.
Do you? Well,
I'm going to save it to the end.
Save it to the end.
I'm just spoilering it now and saying I've got a fucking banging joke.
Do you?
You're going to love it.
All right.
You haven't heard it.
Well, good. Well, let's save it to the end for when they're there. But if you listen to the end credits, folks, not that they're credits, but you know what I mean. Stick around for that, and we'll probably reveal which Marvel superhero will be joining the Avengers or something at the end as well. But anyway, so yes, Winter Wonderland is the 18th of November. It's a complete and utter hotel takeover with room crawls and goodie bags and penthouse playrooms and
it's just fucking tons of stuff.
Honestly, so we are now, I think, as we are saying this, I think we're about 80% sold out.
That's pretty good.
Which is pretty sweet.
Can you tell me what a room crawl is, please?
A room
because
crawl.
I think people would like to know a bit more because this is a relatively new concept in the UK.
Well, so we attended a room crawl at the PCAP event we went to last year.
First one we'd ever been to, right? So we didn't know what to expect with the room
Yeah.
crawl.
So basically, it's another way to meet and mingle with people. So volunteers, and not everybody has to do this. In fact, if everyone did it, it would take forever and a day and it'd be pointless. But they decorate their rooms to a theme.
Right.
Okay.
And they can choose the theme, right?
Yeah, they can choose the theme. Well, in fact, they don't even have to decorate it. They can just have a themed room.
Just make your room inviting.
Yeah, and the idea is that people on the crawl go around to lots of different rooms that people have opened up for people to come in. There's no sexy times necessarily happening in any of these
it's just
rooms.
a fun thing.
It is just a means of going in and mingling and getting to know different people. Now, the ones we went to, some of them had done little drinking games. Some of them had done snacks. Some of them had themed the room. Some of them gave a little mingling game. So there's all different sorts of stuff that you can do. And typically you stay in the room for like 15, 20 minutes. People have their drink, snack, prize, whatever it might be. And then they go on to the next room crawl.
You pop in and out. So very much like a pub crawl.
Yeah, it's very much like a miniature pub crawl.
You stay and have one drink and off you go. Next pub.
And the idea is that you get to meet people. You get to see some of the personality. You get to do some fun stuff. And, you know, these are not, you know, for a room, you don't have to do like drinks and food and a game and a gift or whatever. But some rooms may do a gift. They may do a game. They may do an experience. They might do a miniature lesson or something.
Or you might just come in and say hi.
Yeah.
And meet other people that are already in the room.
But generally when we've done them, the one time that we've done it, a lot of the rooms were decored up to match the theme. So some people had done like a sort
Hawaiian
of
theme,
Hawaiian kind of rock and rolly kind of thing, a gangster kind of thing. And some people had done like a kinks sort of demonstration. So you can go in their room, see a little bit of a kink demonstration for a few minutes, find out about more about it, see some of the implements they've got with them, chat to them about it, then on you go. So it's a really good way of meeting and mingling people. And we're going to be hosting that on the sort of day of the main event. And
It's
we've
like
got a
2 hours, but you don't obviously have to stay for any more than, you know, just drop in and out.
Yeah, and the whole idea is that you, as a bunch of people, you go in, have a look, see what's going on, find out more, and then go on to the next room. And then the people that, you know, whose room you've left, they can hang around for 10 minutes and they can catch everybody up.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's a really great way of...
I really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm so glad I went.
It was one of the highlights for me, actually, and it was a really wonderful little social moment, but fun and flirty, and we found out lots of stuff about people, but we got to chat to different people. It was really
One
cool.
room had a moonshine room.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, moonshine drinks.
Yeah, they gave away a little shot of that. So
With
I
a
think,
little cherry in the bottom.
yeah, and this is great. And this is the, you know, it doesn't have to have everyone attending the event, but it's just a really nice way of just kind of getting to know other people. So that's what the room crawl is all about. So anyway, yeah, we're about 80% sold out, I think, at this moment in time. So that doesn't leave a massive amount of rooms.
Oh.
Now, once those have sold out, we will be releasing a very, very limited number of event-only tickets.
So that's without all the goodies like the hotel and the
Crawl, the goodie bag,
bags.
the transport to the venue.
And the pre-party.
And the pre-party. This will be just a basic, you rock up to the venue on the night and that's it. You'll get access to the chat and the Zoom, but that'll be your lot.
Yeah.
Because we really want people to enjoy this overall experience. So enough of selling stuff to you. If you do want to find out more, there'll be a link in the show notes, or you can message us on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, on Fab, on Swing Hub, on all the different platforms. And we'll be happy to provide you with lots more information or answer any questions that you might have. Can't wait for this one.
Yeah. And the theme is white.
White. Well, it's Winter Wonderland.
Winter Wonderland.
Yeah,
so
there we
that
go.
brings to mind white to me.
There we go. White, maybe icy
Wintry.
blues,
Yeah.
fur,
Sequiny.
feathers.
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mr. Tumnus, you know.
I keep thinking of Mr. Tumnus.
You're always thinking about Mr. Tumnus. Anyways, now that we've mentioned an event, let's talk a little bit about events that we got coming up, because this is kind of going to be what the episode is about. So we've got a couple of events coming up, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to have our sort of game plan conversation together about how we feel about it, what we're going to do, what are our goals and hopes and dreams for these events. That might be a bit excessive, but actually kind of plot through together, because we haven't done this yet.
That's very true.
and have a bit of a conversation about it. Hopefully, we'll get to some endpoints about what we're looking forward to and what we're going to do and what we're going to do differently and all this sort of stuff. But also, it might give you some useful conversation starters yourselves. That's the plan. If not, it's just us two waffling on and throwing in some jokes, which is pretty much standard affair for bed hoppers, right? Okay, so the events that we've got. So we've got the Oxford Social. So we're going to that one, and that's, I think, on the 7th of October.
Yeah.
And
There might be some tickets left for that.
might be some tickets left.
Not many though.
No, and that's going to be an overnight stay for us because it's a little bit of a distance, not a massive amount, but we're going to stay up there. And it's a social event, so there's not
Just
a play event. So I think we can talk about that in terms of what we're going to do in terms of our game plan for a social. And then following that, we've got PCAP Miami, which is a couple of weeks after.
Yeah. So that's going to be quite different.
Which PCAP, if you're not sure, is Podcaster-Palooza. It's an event that Kate from Wanderlust Swingers runs. It's part of the Libertine stuff that they do. And this is a huge hotel takeover over the course of a long weekend.
It's like 4 days.
With, like, I'm going to say a couple of hundred of swingers, maybe more. I'm not entirely sure on the numbers.
Yeah, maybe 200.
It might be 200 couples. That's the thing. I'm not sure. So a lot of people are going. Very different event. It's clothing optional for the pool area and stuff. There's going to be seminars. There's going to be playrooms there, or a playroom. Theme nights. So that's probably a slightly different conversation.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off. So the Oxford Social, Mrs. H, right? Only 10 days away, 8 days away at the time of recording. Probably less than a week away by the time this episode gets released. What do you want to get from the social? Why are we going to this?
We are going because it's nice to meet familiar faces that have been to some other socials and may have gone to the last Oxford Social and also our own previous events. Yeah. But also potentially new people as well. So I imagine there's going to be quite a mix of familiar faces, but with some new people thrown in as well.
Okay.
Met before. And I do love socials. I like socials probably sometimes more than play events because there's no pressure and they're just a lovely way of mingling with people and spending, just like going down the pub with your mates, right?
Yeah.
It's just a nice pressure-free social atmosphere. So I'm really looking forward to meeting new people and some familiar faces as well.
Okay. Do you have a game plan in mind for the day?
Not to get too drunk.
Okay.
That's good advice.
That's
if
very
only
good.
I would take it.
Well, you take it a lot, but
only
not the advice.
I would take my own advice.
Yes.
I always go with the intention of not being a twat, but sometimes, it's so difficult not to drink too much of these things because drinking is very sociable, and also when you're not sort of sitting down somewhere and putting your drink on a table, if you're standing up, you're fucked because you don't put your drink down and you just drink it. You're prime on for that. You will whip through your first drink real fast because you don't have anywhere to put your drink, so you just drink it.
Well, I think the thing is that if you give me food or drink,
Put it in your hand.
Yes. Well, no, not even in my hand.
You'll consume it.
If it is within my reach, I will consume it until it is gone. And when it is gone, I will require more. Which is probably, great for just the first drink and the first bite to eat. But afterwards, that becomes not so much problematic, but can become a moment where I've drunk too much. I think
it's really hard to pace yourself, I think, in events like this when drink is involved. And you either make a conscious decision to drive to the event and then you can't drink.
Don't call me that.
But, more often than not, we don't. We like to sort of go so we can have a couple of drinks. But
we are staying there. So I think implication, I think, is that one of a couple of things. One, that we're probably going to have a drink. That's not, necessarily a guarantee, but chances are. And two, that if there is any naughtiness to be had, we are at least staying up there.
So I'm not obviously averse to having, imbibing the odd beverage because let's face it, we're pretty good at that. But I just always consciously think, like, come on, don't be a dick. Like, don't ruin it for yourself. Don't ruin it for other people. Don't don't knock back the drinks too fast. It's hard, but I'm going to try and remember to grab a couple of glasses of water in between drinks this time.
Okay.
Because I do want to enjoy it and not be completely paralytic.
Okay. I think, so for me, I think the why we're going, I think you're absolutely right. There is supporting people that we know and being sort of good members of the community. That sounds very altruistic, but also the flip side of that is actually that we don't often get to go to events where we're not involved in running it, or at least we haven't for a while. And interestingly, with both the events coming up, we're not involved in terms of running them.
So we can just sit back and relax.
We can sit back and relax. Obviously, we're friends of the people that are running both events, and we'll help as we need to. And we want to make sure that everything goes well for them and do our bit in making sure that that we're there if they need us. But at the same point, it's very nice to be able to go to an event and not have to worry about the group in terms of making sure that everyone's okay. Beyond the,
we're
being
not
a good person. Yeah, we're not working the night. So I think there's a bit of that in it, and that it is nice to be able to let your hair down and get stuck into the bits that other people get to enjoy.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of that for me. I think it's really nice to see people that we already know. And I am looking forward to seeing people that we know and that we haven't caught up with for a while, and having a good old chin wag and see how they are. I think there's definitely an element of that. I think there's also a bunch of new people going to, certainly, when we're talking about the Oxford one, that we haven't met because it's a different circle.
Yeah.
Certainly there's crossover to it, and in terms of the Venn diagram of their stuff and our stuff. But actually, this is it. There's going to be people that we won't know. So it's always really interesting to find out, about new people, get to meet them, and get to sort of explore other people.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. The difficulty is that I know that we both struggle doing that sometimes. So I think for me, certainly the Oxford one is a little bit of a warm up for the PCAP one, in the sense of, actually, we're not working. We can go and enjoy ourselves, but we also need to kind of be a little bit active, because I know when we get to PCAP, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit on this, we've only got a weekend to see those people. Now, the people that are going to the Oxford thing are generally speaking, within reach of us in terms of their drive away.
Yeah.
That drive may be a number of hours, but
they're in the same country.
They're in the same country. Whereas the vast majority of people that we're going to be seeing at PCAP are going to be unavailable to us for a long period of time. So there's definitely an element of catching up with people, but also I think we probably need to move at a bit of a quicker speed than what we tend to for that event.
Yeah.
So I think there is a getting into the vibe and the moment of interacting with people and introducing ourselves and being slightly better at that, because we are out of practice, I think. So that's kind of my take on it. Who lives in a house like this? Go for it. What's your question? Why?
So, do you think?
Yeah, often. Sometimes I'm known to
You're
overthink.
a massive thinker.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you think that I'm going to compare this to other people as well, but when we go to things together, do you think we are aligned with how we both behave socially?
No, not at all.
Okay. So my next question, my follow-up was going to be, how do other people who may be new to going to events or socials, who may also experience a similar challenge, because you're not necessarily going to have the same outlook on what you want to get from an event and what your natural state of play is. So, for example, one of you might be quite extrovert, one of you might be quite shy around people. So I've asked you, are we aligned in terms of how we behave socially?
We are rarely aligned when it comes to this. And I think this is one of the things one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation on air, is because I have it recorded for posterity, but also because I thought it might make an interesting one for other people.
Yeah. So my question is, because this is actually a challenge and it can block you a little bit, or you can play into it and lean on each other's strengths a little bit. But okay, so how do you think it presents a challenge to us first, and the fact that we're not necessarily always joined up when it comes to how we interact socially?
I think often in the conversation part, we're absolutely fine. And I think we are normally around about the similar sort of level in terms of talking to people, and that we're both broadly a little bit introverted until we're not, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think we both have the capacity to go out and talk to other people. You're probably a little bit more reticent to do that sometimes because you like your comfort, whereas I see it as a moral obligation to go and talk to people. Like, I can't claim to be any part of this community if I'm just sat in a corner, but it takes a mental and physical push to get me out of that and into that space where I'm talking.
Yeah.
Whereas you will resist that as much as you can sometimes.
A little.
And often...
But I do like talking to people.
I
so
know
it's
you
not...
do, but you also don't like sort of going out and meeting people in a false way.
Right, I'm with you.
If you could sit there and have just the interesting people that you like come to you in a corner, that would be
sound like a right dick.
Yeah, but that would be perfect for your approach.
And what is my approach?
But that's what I mean. You would sit in the corner and wait for those people to come to you.
But obviously I don't go to events just to sit in a corner and not speak to anybody. And I don't suppose anyone goes to an event purely so they can just sit in a corner and not talk.
But equally, how many times have we done that?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. It is difficult to push yourself out there.
I think we can do it. I think it's probably a little bit more natural for me to do it, probably because I'm a bit louder and a little bit more out there and probably more drunk. But I have seen you do it, but it is not your default. What I tend to find happens more though is when you do know people and you have built a connection, you're much more likely to escalate things than I am.
Yeah.
I reckon. Now, you might challenge that statement.
I challenge a lot of your statements.
But this is where I think there is a misalignment. And I think because often you'll escalate things or you'll be schmoozing. Schmoozing. You'll be leaning back in someone's arms and you'll be cuddling them and doing all this sort of stuff.
That sounds nice.
Yes, I know it does. But I won't have escalated that because often if I do escalate things, say I start making out with somebody,
not unheard of?
Yeah, not unheard of. I get the sort of reprimanding. Not a massive reprimand.
I don't massively reprimand.
No, but there is a reprimand. Yes, that's what I'm going to call myself. My new band name. The Reprimancers.
Oh my God.
So I know that I will get a bit of a jibe about, oh, you're doing that now. Oh, you're making out with her now. So it's really tricky because someone goes first, inevitably.
I know, because one of you has to.
But yes.
You can't both just do it. Right, 3, 2, 1, go.
But I know that, and often the connection isn't like working at 100% for all of us, all of the people involved. But what I find fascinating is that if you're doing that schmoozing, you're fine with it, obviously. You're like, yeah, la, 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 look what I'm doing. Often it's not so much that you're making out with somebody, but it's that you're draped over someone and there's an implication that there will be something happening.
Don't you make me sound like a stupid sheepdog or something? It's just like poured its way onto someone's lap. And
I think you'll find the phrase is poured.
Wow.
But we've encountered this. In fact, at the last PCAP event, you were sort of dragged around the pool by a number of people. I know. But it's funny because if I were to...
You were also doing things, Mr. Man. I know you were.
This is a tit-for-tat exercise. This is just me trying to explain that at one point, someone will escalate. And what we're not very good at is understanding the terms of whether that escalation is acceptable. And I think that's where we probably need to have a conversation about it. I'm not so... In terms of like the social, I think the reality is within the course of the social... all you're ever going to be able to really do is kiss somebody. And even then, that's probably in a very grey area because we want to maintain the community perception that we're not all maniacs out for the next quick dip of our wits.
Yeah.
So, but actually, when it comes to like PCAP, that's a bit more of a complex conversation, I think.
Interesting? No, it is. And we had this conversation few weeks back, just you and I think we just grabbed a bottle of wine one night and we didn't intend to have this conversation, but it inevitably wound up with this because it is, no matter how many years we've been doing this now, it's the one thing I think that sometimes unravels us a little.
I agree. And I think often the unraveling, it normally takes a couple of different things actually. Yeah. And it's one of us doing something in advance of the other. And I think there's not, often it's not actually jealousy. It's just a fear of missing out or it's almost like a one-upmanship. There's almost like, and Secret Vixen and I do this a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that we're not going to make out because we don't want to be the people that take the first hit on making out.
And yet you do anyway.
But there's been definite
There's
occasions.
been disturbances in the force and you know it.
Well, so the reason I reference this is that I'm thinking of a particular time when we've been away, and I think that we've been to Brighton or something, and probably
I know
somewhere
the
else.
time you're on about.
And we've deliberately not done anything because
Cutting off your nose to spite your face.
yeah, there is a bit of that. I don't want to be the first because I don't want to be told off and take the moral low ground. And I think this is part of our issue that we have when we're doing this stuff sometimes is that we both like having a moral high ground because it's very easy to throw it at someone and use it as a tool.
Yeah.
It's not healthy to do that. I recognize, listeners, that this is not a good way to go about stuff. But often I think if we were to default, that would probably be the default.
Okay.
So one of the conversations we had before we went out previously was actually what happens if one of us kisses somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite all right. I think that's okay.
But we had to get to a point, I think, where we gave each other that permission to not get so bent out of shape over it if it happened.
But I think
we sometimes do.
I think we do. And I think the times that when we've been looking to take that approach and been much more open with it and much more it's not free agents, but a little bit more flexible in what we're doing, then often things have meant that we've not been able to do that particular night. So I'm thinking of like the last two events, like the Red Hot Party and the Hot Summer's Night, where like we'd had those discussions around, it'd be great. And if you need to, you want to make out with someone, you can do it as long as, and this is what's acceptable. And if you want to escalate that, then, come back, let's have a conversation. And on both occasions,
we just didn't.
We've not been able to for a variety of reasons. So I think we've not really been able to put that into as much practice as we perhaps should have done. So anyway, let's go back to the social element and we'll come back to this bit because I think let's just finish up the Oxford social bit because I think the PCAT one probably deserves much more of a deep dive because that's a more complex situation. So in terms of how we're going to tackle that particular event, I think it's safe to say that we're going to try and be mindful of drinking. I think we need to be mindful of making out with randos because and non-randos because we want to be respectful of the venue and the people running it.
Sure.
That's not to say it won't descend into chaos as the evening goes on, but I think there is
we won't go out of our way to sabotage it. No.
Yeah, I think there is that. And what mistakes, right, can we learn from previous socials and apply to this? So the drinking thing?
Definitely the drinking.
I think having that conversation about what's acceptable and not holding someone to that, I think is an important piece because I think we're both capable of doing that. I think I've seen both of us do that on a number of occasions, and it is almost like we're holding a moral high ground.
Yeah, I know. It's like some moral mudslinging going on.
There is, and it's so strange because and it only happens really. I mean, it happens jibingly with other couples, but I think it often more often than not happens at events.
Yeah, and I think it is because there's a variety of people and a variety of social interactions, and we're not always together at those points because we might separate a little bit, talk to other people, wander around, talk to people. That's fine, and that's what we should be doing. But also, it means that we don't have our beady little eyes on each other all the time. And so if you lose sight of your other half and then you think, hey, what are they up to? Your mind almost does that kind of wonder what they've been doing. And because of the nature of the interactions that we're having, it's safe to say that it probably crosses your mind. I wonder if they've made out with somebody.
And do you think, honestly here, that is it easier to make out with someone when your partner's not around?
Well, it depends how many people you're hanging out with.
You're at an event, right? And
I mean, obviously, if there's just four of you in a room, but if you're in an event, then yes, I agree. Sometimes it's easier.
Well, even if there's just four of you.
Yeah. I mean, what I don't like and what is difficult to avoid sometimes, though, is the prescriptive nature of some play situations, or just making out situations where you're like, right, are we all okay? Now, everyone do it at the same time. And that's not fun. That's just weird.
But equally, is there a slyness to making out with someone when your partner isn't there?
Well, yes, there can be. But unless you've had these conversations in advance and you are going to be grown up about it and give each other permission and not hold them accountable for something that isn't their fault because you've kind of already said it's okay.
Because generating those moments, I find, where you are going to kiss someone feels like it's a very one-on-one conversation, very one-on-one moment.
Well, yeah, you're just kissing one person. So
yeah, well,
I agree.
So by its very nature, I think being away from your partner does kind of, in a way, sort of help you instigate those moments because you are sharing a moment with somebody else. But obviously, the problem with that is if you haven't had that conversation or if your partner doesn't, but once their moral high ground, should I say, then that can cause a problem.
Can, but also it's not really a very big turn on, is it, to say, right, I'd love to kiss you, but just give me 2 seconds. I just need to go and get my permission slip, or I just need to go and make sure it's okay. It'd be much more grown up, really, an adult to have these conversations in advance. And then should the mood take you, then we could just both be okay about it without getting shitty. You think that's possible?
I think that is possible. I think, and we have managed this before. I think we are just a little bit out of practice. Now, I think thinking back to Desire and the last time we went there with the swing set group, I think we were both much more open about how we approach some of that.
Part of that is, I think, because you're on holiday anyway, and it's a very different vibe, I think, when you're there for a reason of, hey, let's just all relax, and we're in a hot tub and you've got drinks flowing. It's really easy.
But this is indeed a microcosm of, it could be, of that. You're all there.
Just no hot tub.
Yeah, it's just no hot tub and no wonderful weather, he says, in the middle of a storm outside. But
I agree. Although actually this is a social, so technically we shouldn't really be discussing the what if we want to make out with 7 people, because technically you shouldn't be discussing that at all. No, if you're going to adhere to the rules of a vanilla venue social.
Yeah. But I think within the realms of the evening,
hypothetically,
within the realms of the evening, we might not just be limited to that particular location, and we'll be with people that we know,
right?
And I think it's interesting because I think with certain people, I imagine this doesn't present a problem particularly.
No, it probably doesn't.
But with other people that we're less familiar with, that can present a problem.
Do you think one of the other challenges that crops up is, do you have this kind of strange internal tally in your head of it needs to be even in how many people we both make out with?
Well, I've thought about this quite a bit, and I think it's just another means of moral high grounding.
Yeah.
I think there is a certain extent where, as if one of us had gone out and made out with 10 people and the other one hadn't made out with anybody.
Right.
I think legitimately there is an imbalance where you can go, what the stink? And I think there would be an insensitivity around looking after your partner.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've both made out with, one of you's made out with 2 people and one of you's made out with 10, I'm not sure that it should make much difference. That said, I'm fully aware of our ability to sling it back on each other's faces. So I think there's a mindfulness to it, but also there's and also there is a who you're making out with. And I know we've thrown this back at, you made out with them. Oh, them. And it's like, well, you do what's right in the situation, and it might feel right at that moment. And the cold, harsh light of day, you might go, oh, that was, probably shouldn't have done that. But you enjoy it because you're having that moment with that particular person. So it's a really tricky balance, especially when you sort of want to hold yourselves accountable to standards and your partner accountable to standards as well.
So what's the solution?
I think the solution is realistically this conversation, having a conversation before you go to say, okay, what is within the realms of acceptable? What is okay? I think we've kind of landed on the kissing somebody is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think any further escalation is probably something that we need to talk about.
I would imagine it'd be frowned on as well in the social venue
but that's what I mean. I don't think there would
But yes, I
necessarily
agree.
be further, but further stuff, escalation. But actually, we have been at socials where things have escalated with not us escalating it, but things can get out of hand, or the environment afterwards, for example. Like, how do we, it's making sure that we are chatting to each other and in communication, and kind of how we're working through that.
Agreed.
Does that make sense?
So it's okay to share a kiss with somebody, and you don't have to go and run off and get permission.
There we go. 35 minutes in, and we've established one thing, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing very, very well. So, okay, that's the Oxford Social, and I think I'm not particularly worried about that. I think the thing that is playing in the back of my mind is that I want to make sure that we are out and about and talking to people where we want to. I mean, I'm not going to, I don't think of myself like some sort of regal entity where I'm going around shaking, oh, it's lovely to see you here. What a wonderful day this is. That's not what's in my head.
Okay. And so you don't need to drag me behind you going, come on, wife, be sociable.
Yes. Come on, wife. And of course, we say all of this, and we say it in good humour because we don't know if actually anyone does want to kiss us in the first place. So there's a lot of humour that needs to be applied here.
There you go.
So, this is all taken with a grain of salt, but also with a level of experience where we fucked it up enough times to know that where we might fuck it up again. So we've got a little bit of time left, not a massive amount, to talk about PCAP, right? So we're going to be on holiday, which provides you with you are relaxed and in a relaxing environment. Yeah. We are with, now this time, I think, because we did the one in Palm Springs going back a while ago. We know roughly what to expect in terms of...
Yeah, I've got more of an idea this time of the kind of, not formula, but the kind of pattern it might follow. Yeah. And roughly, when people kind of like all congregate or people slope off and have a little nap. And I got a bit of a vibe of, how this goes down now. So.
And we know a number of people, not a massive amount of people going, but we know some. You know none of who's going because you're not on the app for some reason or other, but that's fair, right?
My days.
At one point,
it's another chat.
It's another chat, but it does tell you all the details about what's going on.
Well, but then I have you, so
yes, but I'm not
my oracle of all things information that I need.
I thought you were going to say orifice of all things.
Yeah, an orifice.
So we do know some of the people that are going.
Yes.
I think there is also a thing in that we're not totally unknown out there in the world. So there is a not
you
a reputation.
You can practice your regal entry.
Hello there. So there is we're not going in completely like randomly without some people at least knowing who we are.
No, of course not.
And I wouldn't expect the vast majority to know who we are, but at least a few people that are going have certainly reached out and said that they're glad that we're going.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
They mean you, obviously.
Well, it's a weird one because I've been like posting pictures of us and me and you and just like nothing that hasn't been posted elsewhere. I'm just like, hey, it's us. And people are like, oh, I love this picture of Mrs. H. This is great. And I'm like, yeah. And she's can't even see herself being liked here.
Man,
maybe it's adoration and all of a sudden you're interested. I understand.
It's rude, isn't it? People are like saying hi.
It is rude, and we're going to be there in like 3 weeks. So you've managed to avoid it for a number of months, and you only have to do 2 weeks worth of thing. So anyway, so we're on holiday.
Yes.
It is a clothing optional thing. So there is you can get naked if you want to at the pool.
Okay.
There's costume bits throughout the course of the thing, which you obviously hate, which I obviously love. So there is that sort of natural interaction. There's seminars going on. I don't know what any of those are yet. I don't think that set schedule has been released yet, but you'll not be interested in any of that.
Why?
Because you're not.
How do you know?
All right.
I'm very learned.
How many of the seminars did you go to on the last one?
3.
1.
Lies.
Not including ours. You went to 1.
I definitely went to more than 1.
Did you though?
Maybe.
There we go.
I don't know.
How many did you want to go to? None.
How?
Because it's just not. I know it's not your thing.
I was just Busy.
No, you were sat by a pool having a drink.
Busy.
Okay.
I was conversing with.
Okay.
I wasn't sat there on my own. I was
But the
obviously
picture-
hanging out with people,
Hanging out your ass,
and
more
I was
like.
having so much fun doing that.
Okay. But what I'm saying is
Also, it's like a holiday. You're both there, right? We're both going to do something that makes us happy.
the point is, the reason I mentioned this is because there is opportunity for us not always to be in the same place at the same time,
How out there? Yes.
right? So
So what you're saying is you can go to all the seminars.
I'm not going to go to all the seminars. Of course I'm not. I'm not a maniac. I want to, as much as I enjoy learning and
Oh, where's Mr. H? He's in the room again.
it's in the room. There's not even a seminar going on. He's just sniffing the microphone like some weirdo going, wow, this is great. This is where great podcast and educational people have stood. No, it's honestly, I enjoy some of that,
Good.
but I'm also very conscious that it is a party, it's an event, and I want to get a little bit of the education stuff because that's what I like from it.
Yeah.
But also a lot of the hanging around on the pool, chilling out with people and making new friends and catching up with old ones.
Lush size.
That is lush. But what we have found is that as a result of us doing that, and I'll probably go to the gym if there is one,
Oh my gosh.
because I'm a madman like that.
Literally stop.
But it does mean that we're going to be in different places at different times.
I can't wait to be in a different place to you if you want to go for gym. You're on your own, babe.
All right, fine. Well, you talk about what I'm saying then. Go on, you go for it. Fine.
Fine. Look, yes, I want to spend as much time as I can with you anyway, because I love you and I love going on holiday with you. So that's great. But also I accept that there might be some times when we may not just be aligned on what we both want to do. So
That's fine.
That's fine. I think we just need to make sure we don't make each other feel guilty for that.
Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to feel guilty about it in the slightest. I don't think that we did last time. I think we were absolutely fine.
I think it was fine.
And it's one of those rare events where we can be a little bit separate in that terms of going and doing our own thing a little bit.
Yeah.
However, obviously that does put us in different situations at different times with different people. How do we feel about that?
What are these different situations?
Well, I don't know because I'm not fucking there right now, right?
Hypothetically.
So hypothetically, right? Say I go to one of the seminars with a lady
Yes.
and that lady wants to make out.
Oh, in a seminar?
No, after. She's so turned on by what she's seen and my ability to learn stuff.
This is a very odd situation.
You've asked me to make this situation up on the fly, but don't
I wasn't
expect great
expecting
content.
you to say that.
I mean, like this episode, I've made this up on the fly, and you can't expect great things. Sorry, gentle listener. Thanks for sticking with us. We've got some great stuff coming up in the next couple of episodes, I promise.
No, I'm intrigued by this example you give me, but it's not the example I was expecting.
The more realistic example, you're sat being motored around in the pool, assuming you can go in the pool because of your tattoo.
Fine.
And
I can,
you're draped
bottom
over
half can go in the pool.
some dude or some woman, could be either way knowing you, probably both knowing you in fact, and they want to make out with you.
Sounds like I'm having a great
Pop
time.
Quiz hotshot, what do you do?
Well, we've just had this discussion about it's okay to kiss somebody.
At that particular event. So are we saying that trade's over?
Oh gosh, so Miami rules apply now. Right.
Yeah.
Do we need a new set of rules for Miami?
Well, that's the thing, do we?
Okay. All right. So I think if we apply the same kind of blueprint to the making out situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I can't get my head around sometimes is
my penis, because it's so massive.
God, man.
Or did I mean my ego? I can't remember. Probably more my ego.
Definitely your ego. So what gets me right? We've been E&M now for what, 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
Is that about right? I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, given the broad spectrum of all the things that we've been through together sexually and emotionally and all of the interactions we've had over those 7 years, if we can't be grown up enough to let it slide when one of us is having a kiss, I think we've got some real issues. So I think we just need to be a bit chill about some of this stuff.
Okay.
Myself included. I'm just as culpable.
Okay.
I'm not aiming all this at you. I'm
like
saying
the way
we collectively probably need to just get on with it and either shut up about it and don't do it at all, or if we're going to, then let's just cut each other some slack and let's just be grown up about it. Frankly, if I can't see you or think about the fact that you're giving some lady a kiss somewhere and I'm not there to like witness the whole thing, oh my God, I've got some real issues if I can't get over that. And same applies to you, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think that's fair.
Also in the back of my head, I think you said that I was Eminem. So I'm quite
That feels reasonable.
okay.
And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. As long as we're sticking to that and I'm not going to come back and find you in face deep in some lady's taco.
So what if someone does want to escalate?
Then we have a discussion.
I
think that is sensible.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're then going to start going down a rabbit hole of separate play. Because, all right, let's use the example then that you're kissing someone in the pool. And let's then say that, you both think, this is great. I'd like to move to a more private area and do some more stuff. At this point, I'm still not in that situation. And so it doesn't feel like a joined up shared experience at that point.
No.
Not with me anyway.
No, but so at that point, say that happens, say you are making out with a lady in the pool.
Right.
Not unheard of. And she says that she wants to go play with you.
Okay.
What's your take? What do you want to do?
Well, obviously that's not going to happen because I haven't spoken to you.
Okay. Do you want to play separately with that woman, hypothetically?
Oh, whoa.
Now that's the question, isn't it?
This is opening up a whole discussion about separate play.
Yeah. But is that what you want to do, or is that where we're drawing the line?
I think
that's not an answer. The dog does that when she wants to get up on the fucking sofa.
Oh goodness. Right. So we've not ventured into separate play.
No.
And I think that's a whole bigger discussion. And I think
we've got a whole 5-6 minutes left of the podcast.
Yeah, but I don't think that's something we can necessarily sort out in 22 days. Do you? And get it right and think, well, Miami's a great time to start trying some separate play. Probably not, because let's face it, there's going to be booze involved. There's going to be, heightened emotions. Maybe if it does go a little bit wrong, it's probably not the place to do that and risk it not working out right. I would think.
I think
I've really misread that.
I think that's probably about the right space. I think where I'm at is that obviously us going and making out with other people is absolutely fine. I don't see any issues with that. And I think I think part of it for me is just having that logical discussion before we get there that says, okay, that's cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
And sort of conscience eased in that sort of way.
You're not going to do anything wrong because we both agreed that that's cool.
Because we both, and this goes back to earlier, have gone back on that in many ways and gone, you did this. Mm-hmm. You suck because you did this.
Right,
not
and
so
that
much
takes that out now. We can't do that.
That takes that out. I think the discussion around it, because if we're making out with somebody and they want to escalate things, and I have no plan in mind on this, I think it just might be a discussion that comes up as a result of the way in which people are.
Maybe.
And I think it's that obviously we need to know if someone says, okay, say this one wants to go back to a room with you just by yourself. Now, do we have a discussion about it, or do we just automatically assume that that's not going to happen? Because they're two very different things.
Up to this point, I just assumed that we would just shut that down and say we don't play separately and just take it off the table completely.
Yeah.
Because that's currently what we've done all the way.
Yeah.
And we've been very aligned with our desire to have shared experiences together. Now, that's not to say that we haven't gently talked about the concept anyway, but we haven't actually got to any decisions. So, there's nothing wrong with a discussion of a time, but I'm not quite sure what we'd achieve if we're still not in a space where we want to entertain separate play.
And that's absolutely fine. But if we don't have that discussion now, then
it would have some really awkward conversations.
Well, yeah. Like one of us is all super excited, like this is going to be amazing. This could be great. We don't know. Let's have that. The possibility is there. Let's have that conversation. Right. But if we come up with the view that might be a possibility, then and it may well be that we get to that point and we have that discussion. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying, again, I don't know what's on the cards, but that might happen, and one of us brings it to the table really excited about it, and the other one's just like, no fucking way.
Right.
Then there is an expectation managed around it.
I mean, I've made no secret in the past of my desire to want to have solo play with a woman.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been open about that. That's fine. But I know that that's not your thing, like wanting to let that happen. And I understand that. So that's why we've never really gone any further with any of these discussions. And again, you would have the same privileges of, playing with a partner in a separate place as well.
I'll just play with a guy to spite you. So you miss it. I'm going to go with this guy off by myself. You're never going to see it.
Oh, we'll see about that.
Hear the window being cranked. Yeah. What's that red flashing light? Oh, that's not Skype at all.
So now I can think about it as the snipers in Fortnite. Just see this light flashing on top of someone's head.
So let's just check back on our questions. Have we answered these? So what are we looking to get from this particular event? So I think, and I'm going to take this first, I think there is an element of seeing the people that we know, much like the other event, meeting a whole lot more new people and experiencing some of the different cultures that come with that, because, people from the States have a very different approach to us, or certainly a little bit of a different approach. So I think it'll be interesting to share some of those experiences. I think because we didn't really play, in fact, I don't think we did at all. At the last one. So I'd be really keen to sort of maybe play with people depending on whether they want to. Whether they want to, if they want to, and we make
it's
that.
It's going to be really awkward if they don't.
Well, yeah, to make that connection, because I think there was a element of, it would have been nice to play when we left.
So what I'm really looking forward to is not being fucking poorly this time, because now I've understood my kind of gluten-free needs.
Yes.
I anticipate that has taken out a whole load of problems this time around. A lot of the issues I faced last time were because I just felt so ill.
Yeah.
And this time, it's not going to be underpinned by a constant fear and just feeling really profoundly unwell.
So if your face looks like thunder, we can just assume it's because you're a miserable bitch.
Yes.
Rather than...
Not because I'm ill.
Not because you're ill, which is really important.
So I'm hoping for a much better experience physically, because I will be feeling so much better. Yeah. Because now I've got to grips with it all, and I'm fairly okay with all of it now. As long as I check ingredients, I'm pretty good. So I think we're going to have a better experience anyway already for that reason.
No, I think that's good. And in terms of tackling it,
oh, you want me to take a run up, or?
Well, maybe we need to do that. I think what's useful is that we're going to spend some time in Orlando. We're going to sit theme parks. Just the two of us, which will be lovely.
Going on the roller coasters.
Exactly.
I'm so excited.
But I think that gives us lots of opportunity to spend some nice time together.
Yeah, you'll be sick of me by then.
No, I can never be sick of you, unless you've cooked, in which case I might be sick because of you. But I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to sort of make sure we're all aligned and that we can have these conversations. Yes. And because let's face it, it'll be an interesting thing for people to listen to while we're waiting to get onto Galaxy's Edge or whatever, and Smuggler's Run and stuff. So they'll enjoy that, listening to us bang on about.
Yeah. Can't wait to make all those families feel really awkward in the queue.
So I think there is a bit of that, and I think that will help us quite a lot. I also think now that we know a bit about it, I feel a lot more comfortable. And the same was true of Desire the second time around. Though it was a different group, I kind of had a vague idea of what to expect. And I'm also, I don't want to waste the opportunities if they are there.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And I think mistakes to avoid,
gluten.
I think going too heavy on like night one is
that is good advice.
I think it's important to pace yourself.
We've fallen foul to that one a number of times.
Yeah, I think there is don't go nuts. Don't go nuts. Especially day one. Like day two seems to be like you found your feet, you're kind of in, you settled in. We're going to be there a day early, which is good. And we were there a day early last time, but I think this really helps get you kind of settled in and stuff. So that's going to be part of it. Any other things that we should avoid?
Things we should avoid. I don't think so. Actually, I'm just going to be quite chill about this one, I think.
Okay.
I don't want to have this endless list of things pitfalls that we could stumble into. And at the end of the day, everyone's paying like a fuck ton of money to get on a plane and go and see people they know, right?
Yeah.
So have a nice time. Like, have fun. I want to have fun.
Well, and that's 100% why I wanted to have this conversation.
I don't want to be like, all like internally struggling with all these like, oh my God, what if am I doing this wrong? Let's just go and have fun together.
think that
That's
sounds
what we
perfect.
do best, right?
It is indeed what we do best. And have fun with other people as well. We're also pretty
Yeah,
good at
and
that.
you know, we might be in the same room or a different pool. Who knows?
Different hotel.
Different hotel.
Yeah, so you get a text message, wife, I'm now.
You might just be in an elevator somewhere.
Yeah, I've found my way to a different hotel and a different party. I
On
might
the
be a
floor
few
of
hours.
seminar room. I just want to go and have fun with you. And, you know, if that obviously involves other people being there too, because that's the reason why we're going.
Agreed. So wrapping this up, I can't wait to share this all with you and tell you about how it all goes. I think we've got a really good, fun couple of events coming up. We've got a really good episode coming up as well with some special guests. Hopefully we'll be able to share that with you soon.
Oh, yes.
Can't tell you who that is yet.
No,
but,
not yet.
You know, you'll be excited when you see it maybe, or, you know, we'll see how you feel. Yeah.
Quite a trailblazer, babe.
I know, right? I know. You'll be either really excited.
You
or
might
like,
be excited or you may not be.
Yeah, try them or don't. They'll be fine either way. No, so I'm really, really excited to do that. I'm really excited for all these little bits and bobs we've got coming up. And as I said at the start of the episode, Winter Wonderland, doing really well. There's honestly not very many tickets left. So if you want to come along, now is the time to grab your ticket. If you've got any questions, please reach out to us. Now, Mrs. H, do your thing.
Well, thank you for hopping into our bed.
Now, I have heard that you have a joke.
Right, I do.
Do you? Is it amazing?
Only I can remember it. Now I'm doing this for memory.
Oh, shit.
I'm not looking at any, I'm not reading it. This is completely been committed to my memory.
Okay.
So I've only heard it once. So you have to bear with me while I just put this together. Can I have some like intro music?
Why you got the gallery?
Because that's in my head.
Oh, okay.
All right, no, I'm ready. I've got this. I'm a professional.
All right.
All right, okay. Now, if you know the punchline, don't you tell me. Don't spoil it for me. All right. So I was in a bar the other day. Okay. And I went up to the barman and I ordered myself a nice little drink. And when I was waiting for him to put my drink together, I heard a little voice, like, I thought it was behind me, but it was a voice somewhere around me. And it said, "You look really nice today. You're rolling your eyes at me. Don't be a dick." All right. And I was like, "Oh, is there anyone there?" And no, couldn't see anyone. So I just waited a bit longer. And then I heard another little voice and it said, "Your hair looks so lovely. Have you just had it done?" You're nodding at me now. Don't you steal my punchline. Don't you dare, bedhopper. Anyway, so I carried on waiting for my drink. See anyone around. So maybe it's just, maybe I'm just imagining things. And then the little voice comes up again. And it's like, "What you're wearing just really suits you. You look lovely." So by this time I thought, I'm just going to ask the barman, like, "Hey, I mean, I can't see anyone around, but I keep hearing this little voice, like giving me compliments." And the barman said, "Oh, that'll be the peanuts. They're complimentary." And you rolled your eyes at me all the way through that.
Because you really don't spend any time on TikTok and Instagram, because that's been
Of course
doing
I don't spend time on TikTok. I'm not 12.
Oh, I know. Even I'm not on TikTok, but they.
Is that on TikTok?
Yeah, that's done the rounds.
Fuck it. Well, I don't know these things.
But yes, it was a fun
Did you
joke.
enjoy my joke?
I enjoyed it very much. It was told delightfully.
Aw.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's go do some anal.